It's not just us, we'd have to concur. We've got folk singers, rappers and punkers. Everyone taking care of one another.
All right, so welcome to the first episode of the Unsigned Unwind. I am Andy, your host, and I am here with Angela Tourangeau, your showrunner. And in an interesting turn of events, and in full disclosure, I threw my back out about a half an hour ago. So I'm currently in the throes of some pretty fucking gnarly back pain. So I'm hoping that it doesn't sound like that throughout the whole show, but it very well may sound like that. So how's it going, Angela?
Good. I wish there was something I could do to help with the back pain, but
I know.
I can be moral support.
Poor Angela, she walks into the studio and I'm just like, ah! Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. It's actually not bad, hunched over, kind of leaning forward into the microphone like this. So I guess what we want to do before we get started, because today we're actually recording the first 3 episodes, and what's going to be interesting is I have no idea who I have coming on the show. I'm not going to know who they are ahead of time. It's literally going to be me going into it completely blind and them kind of giving me the elevator pitch of their band, tell me a little bit about, I'm not even going to know where they're from or what kind of music they are or how many members in the band, because that's all you do all the outreach and the incoming stuff. So if people want to be on the show, it's Angela at unsignedproductions.com. And then you take everything and schedule it and tell me when the guests are coming on. And I think that'll be the fun of it. So I guess tell me a little bit on your end, as we're getting started. This is the first ever episode. Neither of us really know what we're doing with this, but I guess tell me a little bit about your process. Like if someone reaches out and says, hey, I want to do that. Like what would be the steps to do that, I guess?
Just having them tell me if someone reaches out. I've been reaching out to people and having people reach out to me. So just talking to them about what kind of music they perform, letting them know what we're looking for
right
in our short format, and just finding out from there who's the person we're going to be working with and a little bit about them and getting them scheduled so you can have your conversation with them.
Right. And I guess one thing that we will say is we're really, because this is like a phone thing and we're just getting our feet wet, we're just going to do one member of the band, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think just from an ease of whatever, it'll just be better to have one person, just so that I don't get confused and the listener doesn't get confused, I guess.
I agree. My conversations with the bands, even scheduling wise, it's been much easier to have one member of the band as the point person. And
maybe as the show progresses and evolves or whatever, maybe we can get to the point. And I was even talking to my wife this morning about maybe some video element to this, maybe have it be like some kind of Zoom call where you can see who it is, and I could put it on like YouTube or whatever. And that's all stuff that could come. But I guess we're going to just get rolling. We've got our first guest coming up in a little bit, and we're recording the first couple episodes just so I can get a little bit ahead of it. But then we're just going to do kind of like what I do everything else. We're just going to do it, and if it sticks and works, then we got a show, and if not, then whatever. So I guess we'll get started on the first episode. Most episodes probably won't have this long of a preamble, but because this is the very first one, I think we'll do it this. So Angela, thank you for all you've done so far to get this going, because it really just started out with a hey, let's do this. And, it was like, all right, so we're doing this. And next thing you know, all these guests are scheduled, and we've got, stuff happening, and people are reaching out. So hopefully it'll be something cool. And for those that don't know, why are you listening? No, for those that don't know, it's basically just going to be unsigned or, smaller artists from all over the country that want to be on the show. We're going to put a spotlight on them, let them tell us a little bit about what the band is, and play one of their songs, and hopefully get the word out so that we can make all the small pockets of local music be like one big local music thing. So, helping everybody out. So I guess that's what we're going to do. So without further ado, let's get rolling with the first episode. Welcome to the Unsigned Unwind. It is the very first episode, and like I was saying before, is I know nothing about the bands or artists that are coming on. Basically, I am going to be meeting them at the same time you are, and Angela has done all of the legwork, hooking everything up, so I'm going into it blind, which is absolutely perfect. So I do have our first guest on the line right now, and I believe I'm speaking with Haley. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Haley, why don't you tell me a little bit about the name of your band?
So our band is called the Second Inversions, 513 for short, which is actually our area code.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how many members do you have in the band?
There's 3 of us.
3 of you. And if you had to, I guess, describe your music very quickly, what would you describe it as? And you can compare it to other artists, or you can just kind of come up with your own description.
I mean, for us, there's a lot of different musical influences in there, different genres. It usually revolves around jazz, R&B, funk, but we like to describe it as smooth with a groove.
Smooth with the groove. I like that. And how long have you been performing?
We've been playing together since the fall of 2022, so almost 2 years now.
And, for me, because I'm not, I guess I'm not geographically aware, where is the 513 area code?
So we're from Cincinnati, Ohio.
I guess just, and this is kind of just off the cuff, but just because my own curiosity, what's the local music scene like in Cincinnati? Is it something where there's a lot of places to play, or there are a lot of bands around?
So there's a lot of singer-songwriters and cover bands, mainly for dad rock, that kind of genre. But we are home to Bootsy Collins, so there's a lot of good jazz musicians there. So it's a really unique mix of music, but there's a lot of little bars that we like to play at. There's a good music scene.
That's perfect. Now, and for you personally, is your band, kind of doing this as something fun, or is it something that you're trying to break out of the Cincinnati scene, go national,
Yeah, well, it definitely started off, we were just having weekly jam sessions, and then we started going to open jam nights at bars, and people kept asking, where can we hear this? Where can we hear more? So then we started to create content and just record our jam sessions and clip it up and post it. And then also started to put it out on platforms, streaming platforms. So we don't know where it's going to take us. Right now, we all have full-time jobs, but one day it'd be cool to do the music thing full-time.
Yeah, and I mean, when I say most of, I'd say pretty much all the artists that I have on, that's one thing that unites us, is that most of us are people with day jobs, doing this. And I think that makes it unique because, you have to have that extra little bit of passion. Because if you're getting paid for it, or you had a free ride doing it, it's a different thing. But when you're I have to work 40 hours a week and make sure that my life is under control before you can devote time to the music, I think it makes it more passionate. So I applaud you and everybody who's doing that. And so one question that and the idea for this show kind of came from a lot of different places, but one thing that I think I want to ask all the artists that I have on, and more just to kind of create a network of advice, but what do you personally do to unwind? If you have some time, maybe it's just after a gig and you have a day off the next day and you've been working really hard, what do you, Haley, personally do to unwind?
So personally, I'm a huge fan of video games, just a good stress reliever. And that's also what connected our band, is that's what we like to do together to unwind, and personally. So that's really what we do, and I do.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a great way to unplug, because for me, I like sim games, and I like to embody the character, and it helps me to like get rid of the static in my real life when I'm just focused on one certain thing. So yeah.
Exactly.
I think video games will be a common answer because it is such a nice stress relief, like it's really cool.
Yeah, you get to go into a different world and escape for a little bit.
Absolutely. So we're gonna play a song. So tell me a little bit about the song that we're gonna hear.
So this song, it's called Speakeasy, and it's the latest one we have out as we're talking right now. We're working on a new album right now, but this one, it started off as like a reggae steel drum song, and then a crazy like drum and bass song, and we were just trying it at different bars as we were having our jam sessions live, and it really evolved into something a lot different, as you'll hear with the final product, but it's one of our favorites.
So before we go, Haley, and again, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day to talk to me as I get this new show off the ground. And, who knows, maybe 10 years from now when you're touring the world and this show is super famous, I'll be like, oh, yeah, they were my first guest. But before we go, I guess just tell everybody real quick where they can find you. On Instagram or Facebook or Bandcamp or whatever?
Yeah, we're on all platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the streaming platforms, at the Second Inversions.
All right, so Haley of the Second Inversions, again, I really want to thank you so much for taking time to speak with me, and I will link everything in the show notes so it'll make it easy for everybody to find you. And, thank you so much for being my first ever guest on my brand new podcast. So, Haley, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so this is the Second Inversions from Cincinnati, Ohio, with their song Speakeasy, and it's here on the Unsigned Unwind. Yeah, that was very nice. That was the second inversion with Speakeasy here on the very first episode of the Unsigned Unwind. And I want to remind everybody, if you would like to be on the Unsigned Unwind, and it can be any genre, any kind of music, and you can be from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, just send an email to our showrunner, Angela, and that is Angela at unsignedproductions.com, and she will try to schedule you. We're not, it may be a little bit before we get you in, because obviously I have a day job and a lot of other stuff, but we're recording. We're going to basically get to a schedule where we record every other weekend, so that I can record this show and my other show, Unsigned 518, as well, and basically record every week, but just a different show every week, and build up episodes that way. And I think we'll be releasing these every other week if it works out. So it'll be probably every other Wednesday is where we're targeting. So send an email, Angela at unsignedproductions.com, and she'll try and get you hooked up, get you scheduled, and we'll tighten up these local communities that we have in the U.S. and Canada, and bring all these little local music scenes together. So that's kind of my intent. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I am Andy Scullin. This is the Unsigned Unwind, and I'll see you on the road. If you would like to be a guest on the Unsigned Unwind, send an email to Angela at unsignedproductions.com. Take care of one another, and I'll see you soon.